Welcome to the Gone Traveling Podcast. We're looking at the BKT EuroCup, the road to greatness, and with we, I mean Sergio Llebres and myself. Sergio, how are you doing?
Hi, David. Very good. Nice to have some EuroCup action after the
After
qualification
the
of,
window,
yeah,
after the
after the
window.
windows.
But you
Very
know what?
tight.
I will say this. I don't need the Thursday games. We can keep it at Tuesday and Wednesday. It doesn't need to be Thursday, Friday, right?
Yeah, and we also had some rounds with the EuroLeague games. This is like the
Yeah.
second time we have them, or the third, because of the double rounds and now this window movie. So very stressful.
And we've reached the halfway point of the
Yeah.
regular season. So we have now nine rounds done. And yeah, we were really close to actually having some separation in Group A. Budućnost picked up a massive victory to kind of keep that from being a little bit done, ending the Wolves streak. I will, before we go too much further, I do want to say that I'm actually in Turkey covering the Adidas Next Gen EuroLeague tournament in Istanbul, and so I did not have a chance to watch as much of the games as I usually would. So Sergio is gonna kind of
Yeah.
carry us a little bit
The
more
best
on
I
that.
can, David.
Yeah, sure. It's fine. Everybody just is a basketball fan, so it's not that bad. Yeah, so big picture, first of all, Valencia still undefeated. Jerusalem is right behind them. Bahcesehir is at 8-1 with a six-game winning streak. Right behind them is Gran Canaria. So not that much has changed there. Did mention the big victory by Budućnost, which was on Friday, to kind of keep in the running. Um, I guess why don't we just kind of start with that because it just happened the game basically time of recording and
Yeah.
Budućnost, if they had lost that game, would have been two full games out of the playoff races, and so as it is right now, they're only a game behind four teams, so it's a really dirty dogfight right now.
Yeah, and also Wolves' streak is over now. They had five straight victories and a very dominant win from Budućnost. They won every quarter, and it seemed like Wolves couldn't keep up with the rhythm. This maybe this is one of the best Budućnost games we've saw this far this season because everyone was very involved. And shout out to, as always, um, people like Fletcher McGee that we talked about him 2 or 3 episodes ago. He was a sharpshooter and he now drained another four threes. And yeah, a very good exhibition by them. Yeah.
Yep. Why don't we just then move on to the guy that you wanted
Yeah.
to talk about? Well, no, let's go to the game that we want to talk about.
Okay. Yeah. There's some games that at this round, we are halfway from the schedule, and now it seems like there are some teams that are starting to prove that they are the real contenders. For example, we could think that Turk Telekom had their options in the very beginning of the season, but now teams like Hapoel Jerusalem seem to be very, very strong. They now, as you said, had their sixth victory in a row with a prolific Jared Harper MVP numbers. He had
Another big
yeah,
game for me.
a 35-point career game. Hapoel Jerusalem won far away from their home court from 94 to 77. And yeah, Hapoel poised under pressure and they overturned an early 13-point deficit to defeat Turk Telekom, as we said. And yeah, Turk Telekom fell to 4-5. And as we are saying, Jared Harper was decisive, not because of the 35 points, of course, but the 12 he scored on the fourth quarter was decisive, and his ability to exploit mismatches and score under pressure was again instrumental. Some other key players in this game, Gabriel Chachashvili, we said earlier in other episodes that his role was going to be more important because of um, Wiley's injury, and he finished with another double-double, 15 points, 11 rebounds for the Georgian. And yeah, after trailing 33-20, Hapoel secured the win.
I mean, really, whenever you have Jared Harper,
Yeah,
you're in the game, and yeah, Chachashvili, I mean, another big double, 7 offensive rebounds, that's he's been massive in that role, and so he's going to be really important for them. And I didn't really watch a lot of it. Just kind of watched the highlights of it of the Ulm game. Hapoel, Tel Aviv. They brought in the new coach at Tutis. Already brought in some new names.
what
I
a
think
week.
Bingham was the only one who was in the game, right? Of the new players, Bingham was the only one who played.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he
So,
was the only one.
uh, it was a dogfight. You have to tip your hat to the kids from Ulm. They came up, big. Noah Singh is he's
It's
killing it.
Yeah,
Um,
literally, this is technically his best game in EuroCup for him.
I think the thing that uh, like you said, without watching all the highlights, I mean, you just kind of have to look at the stats and kind of know what's kind of happened. And you see 11 of 14 free throws, and then you look at the 9 fouls
Yeah, of
drawn.
course.
He's basically said he's basically made the full transition now. That he's just gonna go to the basket. He's gonna do his thing, I'm super impressed that he's been able to do it this quickly, the transition. Ben Saraf, big play at the end of the game. Um, does
Yeah.
this worry you at all about Tel Aviv? I mean, it's still early in the game. There's still, there's that four-way tie with at 5-4. Does it worry at all? I mean,
Mm.
it's the first game for
Uh,
Tutis. And to be honest, one
uh,
more thing, if you're old, this is probably the game you want to be able to play against them
yeah.
because they haven't been able to figure themselves out yet.
Yeah, Ulm got the right time to play against Hapoel Tel Aviv because they're like now in the middle of the season reconstructing. I think this is not something concerning for Hapoel because this is the very first game for Itudis, and now they got 3 4 players in 1 week. They got Motley back. They got Jan Madar, a star for the EuroCup right now from the EuroLeague, and Marcus Bingham. That he's a very good and strong center for the defensive end. And I think they're literally now a new team. And if you see at least the highlights, you can see that Marcus Foster is always running the offense, and
Yeah.
he had like 2 very bad turnovers in the final minutes. So I think this is going to change a little bit. Because of Madar, of course, he's going to run the offense with Itudis. He's like his son. So I think we'll get to see a very brand new Hapoel Tel Aviv team. Yeah,
I think that's the kind of thing that's maybe the most interesting from my point of view is how much, the guys that have dominated play are not going to be, how
yeah,
much they're going to be involved or not. What is Ragland's role going to be? How much is Foster going to be doing it?
and also Patrick
And
Beverly situation. We don't know where he's gonna end up. So he was
yeah,
50-50 right now.
and I mean, how what's the clubhouse? I mean, they're obviously with everything going on in Tel Aviv, they're playing their home games in Bulgaria. So there's the whole um, team camaraderie that, you're bringing in all these new pieces. It's not going to be easy.
Yeah,
And so, yeah. Your player that you want to
yeah.
watch.
I wanted to talk. Maybe he didn't have the best performance of the round, but he had the best performance on his EuroCup short EuroCup career. Adam Mokoka from Cluj-Napoca. Cluj now got a very important win to get in the 50th spot that is very um, candid now, and Cluj won 87 to 79 to Aris. The Greeks couldn't do anything literally, but Cluj with this victory extends its winning streak at home to 3 games and consolidates its position. So this is a good point for Adam Mokoka because he came off the bench and he has shown a very good evolution from last year, where he debuted on EuroCup with Cluj. He has scored the same. For example, this is a very good number to see the evolution. He has scored the same number of threes in one half of the season as he did in the last season in Charlie. So some keys to the game. I must say that Mokoka was the star with 24 points. He had a career high. He had a good three pointers, and also he played alongside Xavier Simpson, another MVP candidate, maybe because he had another double 14 points, 10 assists, and then yeah, Dison Stephens also had another double, and yeah, they had a very good collective dominance, and even though they have a choral or collective job done, Mokoka shine a little bit more. So this also marks a very good point for his career. And also, this game was very highlighted because of the dunks and magic moments that EuroCup names now. So this was a very fun game to watch.
And this was the first game with Oralek in there. This is a guy that we
Mhm.
talked about had
Yeah.
many years with Lead Cabellis, and was struggling a little bit from the outside, 1 of 6. But he's gonna decide a game. He's gonna win a game, and he's gonna come close to deciding another game. And you just think that with him residing on the court, basically,
Mhm.
those two together, they played 40 minutes. And so one of those guys is going to be on the court basically at all times, maybe at times maybe two for a couple of minutes here or there. Those guys are shooters, man, and they,
Yeah.
and
They open the
they
court.
can change the game.
Yeah. What's
Uh, yeah,
yours?
go ahead. Go ahead. My guy. Yeah, I'm gonna talk about Sam Dekker. It's kind of
Hmm.
indirectly, it's kind of a chance for me to talk about the Bahcesehir game. Dekker was the guy that they kind of need to really give them an offensive push. Joventut, they being Joventut, and hit 5 3-pointers and scored 22 points. Struggled otherwise. 2 of 7 from the field. But they need him. They need him to show up, and they did a great job. Belgisir did a great job on slowing down Devon Dotson. He only scored 5 points. That was 10 points below his average, and this was a guy who he scored 26 points the game before against Badushnos, where they ended their losing streak. And then you shut him down. They don't have many offensive weapons in general. And then when you come in and you shut someone down who's averaging 15 and you only give them 5, it makes a big difference. And so, Bahcesehir, man, they just keep rolling it. That's a massive team. And you saw that any time that Joventut tried to make a comeback, one of those guys, Kavanaugh hit a couple of shots. Simonovic hit a couple of shots. Haza was there the whole game.
Yeah.
Smith hit the three threes. Boutier hit three threes. It's they just have so many weapons that they can withstand things. You look at the guy like Panitka, scores 9 points on 4 shots. But he also has 3 points, 4 rebounds, and 2 assists plus a block. And they just don't care. They just don't care who's producing,
Yeah.
and there's a reason why they're right there at 8-1 atop the Group A
And
with a 6-game winning streak.
yeah, and 7 guys in this game against Juventus with 10 plus PIR. This shows what you're saying, that everyone um, does their job, and yeah, and I think this is the first time Joventut came to a EuroCup game this season with a two-win run in ACB League and also in the last round of the EuroCup, and they couldn't get the third. This shows that Joventut is like uh, in a very tight position where they cannot win uh, more than 2 or 3 games. That's the normal thing for any team, but Juventud always shows some dominance in the EuroCup, and this year nothing close.
Yeah, they're 2 games behind. They're two games
Yeah.
behind four teams with 5 and 4 with Budućnost in the middle. So, they're that's going to be a tough fight. And if for some whatever reason they don't keep Dekker, and those guys that are injured don't come back in time, we might see a Joventut team that doesn't make it to the playoffs. And I mean that's a realistic thing that we have to face right now.
Yeah, they could be in danger. And for my surprise player, if you want to talk about them now, I wanted to talk about a debutant guy in this EuroCup, Amida Brimah. Not debutant in EuroCup, but this year, sorry, because he was in Bourges, and he he got his first game with Valencia Basket, interestingly against Bourges, and yeah, Valencia won 96 to 107. Another game with 100 plus points.
Exactly.
They were 2 points short for their record in scoring in the EuroCup, and yeah, apart from the scoring, the good game that Valencia made again, I wanted to talk about him because he had a very um, bad position for this game because Hub is injured. Nate Rivers got injured also in the windows, so he had to step up in his very first game. And he in 14 minutes, sorry, he had 10 points, 4 rebounds, 1 block. He was kind of slow in defense. Interestingly, he suffered more in defense than on the offensive end. That Valencia brought him here to reinforce the defensive end. And I wanted to talk about Brima because maybe some listeners don't know that he started playing at 16 years old. He's from Ghana and he didn't have any aspirations to play basketball. He wanted to be a footballer. He wanted to play football for his national team, and he started playing football since he was a kid. But he had a encounter um, with one of his uncles that played with Hakim Olajuwon in his youth, and he tried to get him playing basketball, and he got interested finally, and he moved to Florida. He was coached when he was a teenager with Juan Hernandez, a Spanish coach there, and he's still there. And yeah, from there, from football aspirations, he went to UConn, to Connecticut. He won the NCAA, being key in one of the games of the playoffs with a basket for the win, and then he's been like with some injury problems until his 30s, but now maybe he can get a spot in the Spanish league or in Europe finally, because he's 30 years old and I think he's very useful.
My surprise, let's say, just because I wasn't aware when he was gonna come back, is Tyler Ennis. We had the
Mhm.
three-headed Canadian monster over in Venice. That was only two with Kamengele and Kyle Wiltshire. And yeah, Ennis played his first game since round two. And what do you know? Overtime win over at Likabellis, which is not an easy place to win.
No.
And Ennis has 10 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. And you look at the triple threat from up north. We are the North. I think isn't that the cry for the Canadians? So you
Yeah.
have 53 points. Dave, you're doing some math pretty late. 16, 16, 22 rebounds and 9 assists, from your Canadian trio. So, and really, I tell you what, maybe just in time, that was a really big victory because it keeps Lead Cabela's behind you. Um, and you're even now with Ankara, with Turk Telekom Ankara, just one game behind three more teams at 5 and 4. So big return from Tyler Ennis, which unless you have any reason not to, I guess we can move to our action for round 10.
I agree with you, David. We can.
Let's do it. Let's do it. So why don't you start off with the game that you are most looking forward to? We're looking at the December 3rd and 4th back to Tuesday and Wednesday games.
I'm gonna say an obvious game, but not because it is obvious. It is not worth it to mention it. Valencia Basket hosts Hapoel Jerusalem in a clash from the both leaders of the Group B. Valencia Basket will face again against Jared Harper. Harper will come back for the first time to La Fonteta, to Valencia, the club that brought him to Europe, in a perfect form. He went from 35 points in this round. So people in Valencia are expecting to watch the best Jared Harper. And this is typical in Valencia that the ex players from the team always shine. So this is going to be fun, of course.
Yeah, I mean that's the highlight. It's the last game, and it's really the highlight of the
Yeah.
of the round. I think the Cedevita Cluj game. You have two teams that are at 5 and 4. In that dogfight at 5 and 4 in Group B. I think that's going to be a big one because you're gonna want to keep ahead of Ankara and/or Reyer.
Yeah.
And then I think that this is kind of the season, yes or no, for Lead Cabelas. They play at home against Turk Telekom, and let's say they're going to lose against Valencia in the makeup game that still hasn't been played yet. So
Yeah.
that puts them at 2-7, 2 games behind. And uh, if you lose to Turk Telekom, then you're 3 games behind them. No, 2-7. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
No, you're three
four.
games behind them. And sure, there's still 8 games left, but that's still a big mountain to climb back. So
Yeah.
I think we're getting close to make or break season for League Cabela's.
Yeah. This is what halfway of the season marks, and the 6 spots for the playoffs are going to be very tough. There are
Yeah.
some very good battles here, and as you said, Lietkabelis, yes or no for the next round.
And then Tel Aviv, you look at Tel Aviv, against a desperate Joventut team. I think that's another
Yeah.
one that you kind of want to watch.
Very bad game for Joventut. Another bad timing for them. So
All right, Sergio, anything else we want to talk about this round of hoops?
nothing. Just see you guys in next round next week and have fun. Until
Tell
then,
everybody where they can find you on the social medias.
yeah, Llebres 11, Llebres 11.
And I'm at Hein News, HeinNews. We're on the road to greatness. And the BKT EuroCup round 9, the first half of the season is done and dusted. And with that, we say good one, and we will talk to you next week.